I have a question for you. How does it end? And I see it all the time on social media. We have to go back to gold. We need to return to the Constitution. Well, let's walk down that path and let's see where it takes us. Now, this may shock you, but we did start with gold, and it is still sitting on the Federal Reserve's balance sheet and priced at $42 an ounce. You see, our banks had to start with something real. Otherwise, this Ponzi scheme would not have worked. Open a bank with gold, do the gold is money thing, then explain to the people that it's too heavy, it's too cumbersome. Let's move to paper. And if you ever needed the gold, it's right here. It's right behind this vault. Just come in and exchange it. And the people were like, okay, we trust this system. And that all ended in 1971. But this system has changed quite a bit in the last 100 years. First, we start with a little bit of gold, and then we do away with the gold. Then we say, okay, well, we have money in our reserves. It's in the account. It's in the bank. You can trust us. You can come in. It will always be there. At one point, it was backed by gold, and then at one point, it was not. And then there came a point where they had to have reserve requirements. We can do loans. It's 10%. They had fractional reserve banking, and now we've completely done away with that. Started 2020. Banks don't have to have a single thing. Just have a building, write the word bank on it, and issue loans all day long. Actually, you probably don't even need a building anymore. You use the internet. Call it bank.com and do loans all day long. Creating money out of nothing and then charging interest for the loans. And now we have the Treasury creating billions, if not trillions. And then the banks buying these bonds, and not just that, the banks are creating loans. Federal Reserve is creating loans. This is out of thin air, nothing. No one has anything. It has gotten so bad that if your bank does not like the bonds that they are currently holding, they go back to the Treasury and they say, hey, you know, I don't like this. Let's switch it. And the Treasury that printed the money will actually buy the money back. So it is one gigantic Ponzi scheme, and people say this needs to end. Not just that, it's unconstitutional. But now back to my original question. How does this end? What happens when one day the Supreme Court makes a ruling? Hey, this Ponzi scheme that you guys have going on, it's completely unconstitutional. Read the Constitution, which that's the Supreme Court's job. Is it constitutional? Is it not constitutional? You take, for example, tariffs. And the government knows this. They can do just about anything at first, well, until they can't. Which recently we had the head of the executive branch. He was like, you know, let's charge everyone a tariff of 50%, 100%, 500, whatever. And then the judicial branch, see, it's all checks and balances, say, nah, that's completely unconstitutional, and you need to give all that money back. And we are currently in the gave money back thing. Corporations really liked that. Create said product, and then the government says, you know what, we're going to have to hit you with a tariff on that, increase the price of your said iPhone, and then after that, they figure out, yeah, that was unconstitutional. We got to give you your money back. Keeping the price high. Yeah, the price stays high. You're welcome. I don't think you're seeing companies lower the prices since the tariffs, but government be government. But now the question is, what happens when we go back to the Constitution and we go back to constitutional money, gold and silver, like the Founding Fathers actually wrote into the document? Now I want to take you down the road of what if, and what would this transition look like? Because a lot of people are talking about it. And I have to be honest with you, the transition, to put it lightly, will be uncomfortable. Also, the answer isn't just yes, we can, or no, we can't. The answer is the people who built this system made sure the exit would be so painful that no one would ever seriously attempt to try to exit or even attempt at exiting, which I'll show you. First, you have to do this thing called math. So the United States owes give or take 40 trillion. We won't even talk about unfunded liabilities. The U.S. government holds approximately, maybe, 8,133 tons of gold in Fort Knox. Again, I said maybe. Why maybe? Well, maybe we don't trust our government. But for the benefit of argument, we're just going to say it is all there, all in Fort Knox. We're just going to give the government the benefit of the doubt. At today's gold price, that gold is worth roughly $628 billion. About 4 months ago, quite a bit more. Which for my gold hodlers, I think you found a bottom. I think it's going higher. But that's for another video. So you have $628 billion in gold, backed $40 trillion in debt, or backed up against a wall of $40 trillion in debt, or it's backed by it. Who knows? But that's a coverage ratio of about 1.6%. So for every $100 the government owes, it has gold backing for $1 to cover 100. So here's the question. How do you go back to a gold standard when you don't have enough gold? And I know what the gold guys are going to say. You reprice it. It's okay. So again, let's do the math. And this for the numbers to actually work. For every dollar in circulation to have real gold backing, gold would need to be priced at somewhere between, there's the argument's out on this one, $38,000 and $50,000 per ounce. Definitely not where we're at today. And I'll say it again. Actually, let me get some gold. This gold coin right here, somewhere between $38,000 and $50,000. But this wouldn't be a gold standard. This is a gold revolution, along with a revaluation that would restructure the entire global financial system overnight. I know a lot of people would be excited for that because they hold this. But wait, because the moment the government announces it, everything completely changes simultaneously in ways that most people have never thought through. That's why I'm doing this video. And the next time you're at Costco, maybe pick up one of those shiny old relics. But let me walk you through exactly what happens. Day number 1, the announcement is made. Everyone's excited. America is returning to constitutional money. It sounds great. Gold and silver only. The dollar will be backed by gold at a new future price. And within hours, every country on planet Earth that holds US dollars as a reserve currency does the same math as I just did. They are sitting on trillions of dollars that are about to be repriced against gold. What do? They sell their dollars. And what are they going to buy? They're going to buy gold. Every central bank on the planet doing the same thing simultaneously. Also, just a word to the wise, over the last definitely few years, central banks have been buying this hand over fist. And with the recent dip, more hand over fist. Because they know in the end how fiat systems end, or how the dollar ends. And I am just saying, hey, let's do what the Constitution says, and let's just have a currency that is backed by gold. That's it. And on that day, it would probably be wiser to hold this than dollars. It's probably worth more. And every import immediately costs more. If you think you're paying high prices at the pumps now, wait. Oil, electronics, medicine, food, anything and everything suddenly cost dramatically more in dollars. And prices will not gradually go up. They spike immediately. So how was day number 1? Okay, let's go to day number 2. The U.S. money supply has to contract, get smaller, because it has to match the gold backing. Now, remember what I've been showing you across the entire channel. When the money system contracts, Credit freezes, loans stop, businesses can't make payroll. Companies that run, 30, 60 days on credit lines, which is most all American companies, they can't function. And here is what makes it even more catastrophic. The entire global dollar system, the offshore dollar, which I just covered on the Japan video, is built entirely on fiat dollars. There is absolutely no gold backing in that system. There never was. A return to gold doesn't just affect domestic banking, it collapses the entire offshore dollar system overnight. Every country that borrowed dollars, which that would be all of them, but we'll just stick to the majors: Japan, Korea, Brazil, Germany, China, all facing dollar shortages, which they are experiencing right now, but this would be in catastrophic proportions. And this not over months, this is over days. The dollar drain scenario I showed you previously, you will be able to witness it in real time, all at once. Right now, you're witnessing a stronger dollar slowly, but this thing is just going to be a juggernaut. All right, so that's day 2. You want to go to week 1? The banking system will be in complete crisis, unlike anything in modern history. Banks have lent out far more than their gold-backed reserves would allow. And under a true constitutional money standard, every major bank in America is now technically insolvent overnight, immediately. And here's the brutal part. The government cannot print money to bail them out like they always do. Because now the people have risen up. They said, this is the Constitution. We're not doing this anymore. And now it's outlawed. And I know what you might be thinking. Hey, I got money in the bank. But the FDIC, no, scratch that. They've told you many of times. Hidden videos. I don't even know if it was hidden, but it was made public. The FDIC can't cover squat.
I almost think you'd scare the public if you put this out. Like, why are they telling me this? Should I be concerned about my bank? Right? I think you've got to think of the unintended consequences of taking a public that has more full faith and confidence in the banking system than maybe people in this room do. That we want them to have full faith and confidence in the banking system. They know the FDIC insurance is there. They know it works. They put their money in. They're going to get their money out. There's a bunch of law firms represented in this room. There's a bunch of people that'll charge them by the hour a lot of money to explain this all to them. And it's fine. I don't have a problem with that. And they all have huge staffs. But I would be careful about the unintended consequences of starting to blast too much of this out in the general public.
And there is no way, maybe at best, 1% of deposits. And the Fed cannot step in and create liquidity, because creating liquidity from nothing is exactly what the gold standard prevents. And the medicine that saved the banking system every single time, we watched this in 2008, is now illegal. And the crowd cheers. Now, month number 1, okay? Hold on to your jobs because that's gone. Unemployment spikes, not gradually. The Great Depression happened partly because the gold standard prevented the money supply from expanding to meet the crisis. People forget that. They often think the Great Depression was caused by debt. It was made catastrophically worse by the inability to expand money to fight it. Now, imagine just being unable to expand during this crisis, because you're not expanding money anymore. This is money. Trying to transition to a gold standard while carrying 40 trillion, 41 trillion, 2 trillion, who knows? Probably in the next 5 years, it'll be 50 trillion. Because the debt beast system that you're in, it's great at the beginning. It always is. It's like socialism or communism. And then in the end, it kind of takes off. You're in the takeoff stage. And the Great Depression would look like a warm-up act based on what is coming. Oh, and guess who would suffer most in this system? And it's something, again, I've been warning on this channel. I've been telling you to collect assets. But it will fall hardest on those that don't have assets. They'd be holding gold. These are people like me. They would be holding real estate, like people like me. But the people who don't hold assets are going to be wiped out because they're going to have to reprice. And when they reprice, it actually is a benefit to people holding assets. It would fall. This is the destruction. Would fall on the people holding cash or holding cash savings. They're working for wages. They're depending on government programs, wiped out. Depending on credit to run their business. The very people the system currently or already extracts from would bear the full weight of the transition. Now, here's the part that should make you genuinely angry. I hate to say it, but I've said this in previous videos. Everything that you're in was not created by accident. Like I said at the beginning of the video, you know those exit doors? Well, we'll get to that. But the people who built the system in secret on Jekyll Island in 1913, they understood exactly what they were doing. They were building a trap. And not just a system that benefits them while it runs, a system where the exit is so painful that nobody would ever seriously attempt it. And the longer it runs, the more debt that accumulates, the more the global financial system builds on top of it. The more countries that borrow in dollars, the more offshore dollar system expands, the more dependent every institution on earth becomes on this fiat dollar system. And every year that passes makes the exit more impossible. Every $1 trillion added to the debt makes the gold math worse. Well, unless you own the asset, but it's still going to be worse for you too. Every country that borrows dollars becomes another reason the system can't be unwound. It's a trap that gets stronger the longer you are in it. Here's the kicker. We have a constitution. We have a Bill of Rights, and the founding fathers warned all the time against this. Oh, and you know that $20 bill that you use? Look at who is on that. He was the strongest proponent against it. Actually, on his deathbed, I don't know if this is factual, but he said, I killed the banks. That's the system you're currently in. They put him on the currency. The banks put him on the Federal Reserve note. But yes, to say the least, founding fathers warned us before we walked in. Thomas Jefferson even wrote it down. The Constitution says it explicitly. Gold and silver, not debt instruments created by private banks from nothing. They saw it coming. They tried in every way, shape, or form to prevent it. And the people who wanted the power that comes from controlling, that's what it's about, controlling the money supply, they waited. They worked slowly. They got their law passed. This was 3 days before, this is 1913. Like, Christmas. Half of Congress was already gone for the holiday. And they built the exit so painful that it's been 113 years later. We're still in it. So now the question is, can we go back? The founding fathers' instinct was right. Jefferson was right. The Constitution is right. Monetary system that cannot be debased by private institutions, creating unlimited credit from absolutely nothing. Money from nothing, which I really like a gold-backed system. It's honest, but we are so far away from it. And the transition from here to there after 113 years and $40 trillion in debt, after the entire global system, the foundation, the euro dollar, which is so much bigger than what's at home. It's probably 4x. Transition would be one of the most painful economic events in human history. And the sad thing about all of this, we're wrapping it up. It's coming to an end. That's why you see GDP at 1%, and they're printing like drunken sailors. Everyone is, and we're doing everything we can do to bail out Japan. It's like a complete forest fire right now with everyone's currency, and we can only help out so many. Another country just sold all their gold to try to fix their currency. Japan is warning they're going to sell all the treasuries, which puts pressure on us, which means interest rates go up. But we're coming to an end, and they're trying to print their way out of this. Now, when I say print their way, I'm not referring to the Fed go burr. I'm referring to your Treasury is printing short duration T-bills within the weeks. They do this, and then when the banks buy it and it rolls off, it becomes cash. Could this possibly be inflationary while you're feeling it? This at a time that the banks are like, oh, look at all of this. Let's do lots of loans. Circling back, the entire globe, every country has built their systems on a fiat dollar foundation. And the transition, like I said, would be nuclear. The patient is sick. The cure is real, but you can't perform surgery without anesthesia. And here's the problem with anesthesia. We used up that anesthesia a long time ago. The people who built the system knew this. They built the dependency deliberately. The longer it runs, the more impossible the exit becomes, which is exactly why Jefferson warned us before it even started. And exactly why no one in Washington, no one on Wall Street, nobody with real power and money will ever seriously propose going back. Because they know what it would cost, and they know who would pay for it. Not them. You.